This week, we're back at Harvard University's Wyss Institute to continue our conversation with Professor Rob Wood. This time, about turning rigid robots soft and what they can do to help us understand life at the bottom of the ocean. This is not another acronym. So what got you into soft robotics?
We got involved with a soft robotics project where we connected with a marine biologist who was interested in sampling organisms from the deep sea. But the technologies that he was using at the time were fairly archaic. They were made for the oil and gas industry, so way overpowered and rigid and metal, and not at all conducive to going and sampling some of the very, very delicate organism coral. At this point in time, it was a nascent project in developing soft actuators and making little soft hands, and we was like, well, we can make really, really delicate grippers and put them on the end of your end effectors and your submarines and your remotely operated vehicles and throw them in the ocean, and it turns out they work really well. So we, mostly my students, have gone on a number of expeditions around the world deploying these systems.
Where'd you get to go?
I personally went to the Red Sea, where there happened to be a fantastic institute there right on the water, which also happened to be a very steep slope in the sea there, which gave us very close access to some really nice coral outcroppings. So my students then have gone on and gone to off the coast of Brazil, a couple times off the coast of California. Recently they went to the Phoenix Islands. There's a huge protected zone there, which basically means it's almost totally unexplored. We kind of are hitchhiking, I guess. Wherever we can catch a ride with somebody that's got a boat and space and time for us, we'll jump right on, because our systems are pretty robust and modular.
So what are you learning by doing that?
There's the obvious lessons of how things work in a lab versus in the field. And that was a really cool one. So as a little side note here, one of my students, this was the Phoenix Island trip. It was a long trip. It was a 5-week or 4-week trip. So we obviously bring a lot of spare parts. But he also brought on a couple 3D printers. And it turns out that he was able to sort of, on the first few dives with this sort of traditional, if you will, soft grippers that we have, some were successful, some were not, based upon, they didn't know that they were going to find this little thing they wanted to grab, which was much smaller than the size of the hand, for example. And a few sort of anecdotes like that, and then he brought that information back up to the surface, if you will, and started printing out new manipulators that were then deployed on subsequent dives. And so the iteration time there on the ship was, a matter of, half a day. And so these are, I guess that was one lesson learned, which was that normally we think about these sort of development cycles as being really long, and we only go on these expeditions every 6 months or so, and so to get new technology onto the sort of the business end of these things could be really long, or it doesn't have to be. And so that was a fun one.
Did that also did it fuel any of the fundamental research aspect of it?
Yeah. So a lot of this, as you can kind of gather, is in the earlier phases where we are. What kind of hand architecture is going to work? What kind of materials are going to be robust enough to the deep sea? What kind of sensors can we deploy to actually get information about how the hand is moving? These types of engineering type questions. But at the same time, at the same time, and sort of we're moving into a phase now where we're trying to put them in the hands, so to speak, of the biologists that are actually sort of piloting these remotely operated vehicles and wanting to go get the samples. And so getting their feedback has been extremely valuable. And then there are a few instances now where we've been able to grab things that wouldn't have been able to been sampled before. And so now we're actually getting into the phase where we're actually saying, okay, well, there are actually viable tools to go and collect. The original vision was to go and grab stuff and bring it to the surface and do some sequencing on it and understand its morphology, understand its genome, whatever. We're actually starting to be able to do that.
Well, that's it for this week. Join us next week when we finish our conversation with Rob by asking him, what's your favorite insect-related band? And if you have a suggestion for a professor we should talk to, tell us in the comments below. But until next time, we'll continue looking for what you will imagine, create, and revolutionize.